Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Conversations at the Center. Today's episode is going to be unique and special. But before we get to that, first thing I need you to do, log on to the YouTube channel, hit Christ Center, NBC.org, hit the like button on there, then hit the subscribe button. See Conversation at the Center, hit the subscribe button, become a follower. Drop a comment with a fire emoji or something like that. Let us know that you're here. Once again, log on to YouTube, Christ Center NBC. Hit the comment section up there. Drop a fire emoji. Then hit the subscribe button. Let us know that you are following us right now. Once again, thank you for checking us out. One more time. Today's episode is going to be the last of our first season. We thank you for continuous support all throughout the year. We want to thank you for you allowing us to borrow a little bit of your time to tune into us. So thank you very much. Today we want to do what's called a year in review. Thank you for your support and all that you've done. We started this thing called Conversation at the Center, where we had these personal, intimate conversations about Christ Center Missionary Baptist Church, things that are going on, things that are happening. So we want to thank you. On our first episode, we had a conversation with the senior pastor, Pastor Dr. Ed Justice. In that conversation, we talked about the calling of ministry. We talked about his starting of Christ Center Missionary Baptist Church. We talked about some of the challenges that he faced. We talked about the ins and the outs of preaching. We talked about some of his challenges, sermon preparation, some of those things that was going on. And so we thank him for his time and engaging in his involvement in that. And that was what we looked at the first episode. Then we had a great opportunity on our next episode to have a conversation with the Reverend Dr. and Sister Charles Gully. In that, we talked about maneuvering marriage, ministry, and the mayhem that comes along with it. Thank God, Dr. Gully and Sister Gully for engaging us in that conversation. In that conversation, we learned the preparation process that Dr. Gully goes through. We also discussed managing or navigating the trials of marriage and ministry, looked at the ups and the downs and some of the challenges that they came across, how being a wife of a minister and her support system, and also how is he able to manage and navigate being a minister and a husband and a leader also. So we thank them very much for that. Now, next episode, we had a conversation with our Reverend Dr. McNeil. And we talked to old Mac, and he shared with us some very interesting insights about ministry, about his calling, about his daily operations in ministry, his sermon preparation, about some of the challenges that he himself has faced in ministry. Look at some of the odds and the obstacles that he came up against in ministry, looked at the ups and the downs and the twists and the turns, and then we also discussed the future moves of the ministry. So we thank Reverend McNeil for that time that he was able to engage with us and engage upon us some of his insight. Then we took a brief break. Then we welcomed back. After that brief break, we had a very interesting conversation with yours truly, me. In that deal, we talked about some of my favorites, some of my favorite ministers, some of my favorite preachers. Look at some of the challenges that I saw within the church, some of the conflicts, some of the chaos, some of the confusions. Then we discuss some of those forward-moving steps that I believe that this church, Christ Center Church, and church as a whole can be able to engage to move us forward. We also had a conversation about the challenges and the obstacles that I saw that was ahead of us. Then we also looked at what I call my future perspective. What is in the future? What are some of the steps that we have ahead of us? That was a very interesting, engaging conversation. I will invite everybody to go back and look at that episode again. Then we also had, next we had an episode where we looked at a youth episode where we had our very own Reverend Gibson. Reverend Gibson, youth minister here. In that conversation, we had a very engaging conversation and the challenges with the youth and the obstacles that the youth face. In that conversation, he shared with us his preaching process, his preparation process. He talked about his engagement with the youth and how influential he has been upon the youth. He also shared with us some of those challenging moments that he have with the youth, but not so much as with the youth alone, but he shared with us also some of those challenges on how some of the difficulties that he ran across in ministering with the youth and also dealing with the parents of youth also. So he shared with us that very interesting insight. I want to share with you one of those comments that somebody shared with us. Kobe underscore at 321 hit us up on YouTube and shared with us this insight. It says, love the conversation on the youth. Many leaders need to hear this. This is much needed and well appreciated. So I want to thank Kobe underscore at 321 for sending in that comment up on the conversations with our very own youth minister, Reverend Gibson. Then we transitioned to that, and we had another interesting conversation where we started discussing about some of those odds, obstacles, and oppositions that you run up against. During this conversation, we tried to highlight some of those twists and turns that many people come across. Then the next conversation that we had conversation with Pastor Justice and Sister Justice in celebration of the church and in celebration of the pastoral anniversary. So we had that conversation. In it, with Pastor Justice and First Lady Justice, we was able to discuss on the root beginning of Christ in the Missionary Baptist Church. We also was able to have a conversation about some of the challenges that they face, some of those obstacles, opposition, some of the hurdles, some of the resistance, some of those things that they was able to share. They also shared with us their first encounter, their first meeting, their dating episodes. They was also able to share with us those challenges that they faced within themselves in their marriage. So in that conversation also with Pastor Justice and First Lady Justice, was also was able to share with us some of those highlights that they ran across. Not only those highlights, but some of those memorable moments. Share with us, Sister Justice shared with us the way that she able to encourage Pastor Justice during those difficult seasons. They both also share with us the conflict resolutions that they come across. Then another thing that they often invited us into is they was able to share with us some of those pet peeves that each of them have. What gets on one's nerve, what gets on the other one's nerve. So they was able to share with us. So we want to thank them for having a very intimate conversation with them and then inviting us into that engaging moment. So this first season of our conversation at the center was very interesting and very engaging. And we want to thank everybody for attending that. I also want to thank everybody for those comments that y'all was able to leave. Many people left comments and fire emojis. I just want to read you off a couple of the comments that happened. At underscore raw 8434 says, I love the comment in the conversation where you talked about many churches being too traditional to transition. Good conversation. Then where we have WC at A1 underscore 1, just simply says, keep up the good work, love the conversations, keep doing more. So these are just a few of the conversations that I highlight that I encourage everybody that those of you who are viewing, just go and look at it, conversation up under the center, hit the subscribe button, drop the fire emoji up on it, or drop a comment up there, just to let us know that you're engaged, let us know that you're excited about it. So this right here will end our first season. This will be the last episode of our first season. This is what we call our year in review episode. So we want to thank everybody for looking at that, engaging in it, inviting each of you to share in the comments. We want to thank you for the sound and the camera team. We want to thank you for the security, and thank you for everybody that stays out and attend to engage in that conversation with you. So I want to be thankful for that. Then next, we want to invite everybody to continue to be engaged and be on the lookout for the start of our second season. We have many great things that are coming forward. Really hyped and really excited about it with the round tables, with some of those challenging questions and intimate conversation that we're getting ready to have. I can't reveal right now, but I just want to say that the list of guests is really cool. You'll really like it. The conversation is really cool and be very interesting too. So once again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Thank everybody for engaging. Thank everybody for just peeking into what we have. This right here has been what we call a conversation at the center. This is our year in review season, the end of our season 1. And then we're going to go back and look at all of the episodes. And once again, we thank everybody for your time and your attention. Don't just keep it to yourself. Pass it to somebody else. This will be the end of our season 1. And be on the lookout for our next season in what we call season 2 at Conversations at the Center. Thank you all for your attendance, and thank everybody for your engagement. Thank you.